All right, so we're going to start with what the book calls central tendency. Right, so this is what the book's going to refer to when they talk about finding an average. So that's where we're going to start with averages. And I'm hoping that these are things that you guys have a little bit of history with. Mean, median, and mode, we've heard about this, right? Yeah? Mean, median, mode, okay. All right, so you just want to remember here, and you can make some notes as we go. We're going to put some information up here with these things, but you want to remember when they talk about central tendency, that's just another way of talking about an average. Okay. And we have 4 types of averages that we're going to work on. We're going to work on the mean, the median, and the mode. And then we're also going to do what's called a mid-range. All right, so as you're jotting down, you might want to leave a line or 2 in between each one because we're going to put a little bit of information there. All right, so let's kind of work with what you already know. All right, so I'm guessing that if we have 4 tests this semester, at the end of the semester, if you want to find your average, which is the test, you know what to do, right? What do you do with those 4 test grades?
Add them all.
Right, so you would add them up and you would divide by 4. Okay, so when you do that, the thing that you already know how to do, you are finding the mean, okay? So on this one, I'm going to just put a formula, even though we don't necessarily have to have a formula because you already know how to do it. I'm going to put the formula that the book gives me for that mean. All right, so the book says that this is the symbol that we use for mean. Okay, X with the bar over it stands for mean. And then the book gives me a formula that looks like this. Okay, now that looks a little weird. You may have seen this first symbol, this symbol that looks kind of like a sideways 3 or something in algebra class. All right, and that symbol is the summation symbol, and it just tells you to add up. Okay. So just a minute ago, when we were talking about the 4 test grades, the first thing you told me you had to do is add them up, right? Okay. So this part of the formula, all that part is telling you to do is to add up your numbers. Okay, so like the numbers are going to be your x's, and it's just saying add them up, just like you guys just told me. And then the bottom part, the n is the number of values. Okay, and that makes sense because you told me that you add up the 4 test grades and then you divide by 4 because you have 4 test grades. Okay, so on that, all we're doing is putting a formula to something that you already know how to do. Okay, so hopefully that one's going to be easy enough. All right, so for median, we're going to use as the abbreviation capital M, capital D. Okay, that's going to stand for median. All right, does anybody know what that one is?
The number, right?
Good, yeah, perfect. It's the middle number. Okay, so this is the middle number. When your list of numbers is in order. Okay, so I mean, you have to put your numbers in order first, and then you're going to pick out the middle number. And that will be your median. All right, for mode, we don't have an abbreviation. Okay, I guess they just figured it was short enough, we could just write out mode, right? And mode is the value that occurs most often. Right, so value that occurs most often is the mode. All right, and then the last one, mid-range, for an abbreviation, we do MR. And this one is like doing kind of an average between your highest and your lowest value. So for your mid-range, you're going to take your highest value and add it to your lowest value. And then you're going to divide by 2. Okay, so we have 2 kinds of problems that we're going to be looking at. All right, and the first kind of problem that we're going to do is fairly easy. Okay, we're going to calculate these 4 things with that problem. Fairly easy to work with. Again, we're basing it on something that you pretty much already know how to do in most cases. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move to our example. We'll kind of flip back and forth as we look at this. All right, so case 1 is what we're going to call, the first type of problem is what we're going to call raw data. So when we talk about raw data and statistics, we're basically talking about having a list of numbers. Okay, just like you see in the example. So we have this data set, we have these numbers 4, 9, 12, 15, 3, 4, and 19. Okay, just a regular list of numbers. That's going to be the easy scenario for doing our averages. All right, so let's see if we can go through those 4 averages and do the calculations for this data set. So I'm going to start with the mean. All right, and remember that the formula that I gave you, even though we kind of talked about, you may not need the formula I gave you looks like this. All right, so what do I need to do first if I'm going to find the mean? Remembering this is the one you know how to do. So what do we do first? Add them all up, okay? So remember that top part just simply says add them all up. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm just going to add up the numbers in the list. If you guys have calculators in here, you might want to get them out because we're going to use them a lot. And those of you at home, if you grab your calculator,
66.
yeah, you'll probably want to have it today. All right, so 66, when I add the numbers up.
26.
Okay, and then I'm going to divide by what?
7.
7, because, yeah, there are 7 numbers, right? Okay, and probably what you'll see me ask you to do in test-wise is 2 decimal places. Connect Math may ask for something different, so you'll just kind of have to watch, but I'm going to do 2 decimal places here. So I get 9.4, it looks like 9.428, so I would round that to 9.43. Okay, and then this would be my mean. All right, everybody okay with that? All right, so median. What do I need to do for the median? Yeah, okay, so we said the median was the middle number when the list was in order. All right, so
Put them in order.
I need to put the numbers in order, which is not terrible for me to do, there's not that many of them, so let me do that real quick. So I have a 3, I have 2 4s. I have a 9, a 12, a 15, and a 19. Okay, so now I have the numbers in order. So what's the middle number? No. Okay, so middle number is 9. And now we have our median. All right, what about mode? 4, how come it's 4?
More than one.
Yeah, more than once. So remember we said that we're looking for the value that occurs more than once or the most, okay? And the mode will be 4. Right? And then finally, mid-range. All right, so that was, yeah, so we're taking the highest and the lowest and dividing by 2. All right, so my highest is 19. My lowest is 3. And I'm going to divide by 2. So let's see, 19, 20, 21, 22 on the top. All right, so mid-range would be 11. All right. Everybody okay with that? We have a question? That's good. Okay. All right, so let me do this real quick then. Let me throw up another example. I'm just going to stick it over here on the side. All right, and I want you to work it real quick for me. Okay, or at least think about it, because there are a couple of things that can go a little bit different on this type of problem. So I want to be sure that we hit both scenarios. All right, so let's say that our data looked like, let's say we had 7, 2, 9, 3, 1, and 4. Okay. All right, so real quick for me, I want you to do those 4 calculations. Okay, do your mean, your median, your mode, and your mid-range, and let's just check. Okay, and like I said, there's a couple of variations, so I want us to talk about that. I want you to think about it first. All right, so what did you get for the mean? 4.33? Okay, so I'm adding them up, I get 26. I divide by 6, I get 4.33. Okay. All right, for median, I have to put them in order. All right, so I'm gonna put them in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 9. Okay. All right, so I wanted you to look at this because on the first example, we had a definite middle value, right? Because we had an odd number of values. All right, but here, I don't have one particular number that sits in the middle. So does anybody know what I want to do?
And
Yeah, so you want to take your middle two numbers and you want to add them together and divide by 2. All right, so that's going to sort of cut that difference and get you right in between those middle two values. All right, so we're going to get 7 over 2. So we're going to get 3.5. So if you have a middle number like we had in the first example, we're definitely going to use that. If we don't, then we'll use the middle 2 and average. All right, what about the mode? No mode. Okay, so that's the other thing I wanted you to see. A data set does not have to have a mode. All right, and this one doesn't because everything just occurs once. So just say no mode. You don't want to say 0 because 0 is actually a number, okay? And I might think you were saying the mode was 0. Just say that there's not. All right, and then mid-range, you would have added 1 and 9 together and divided by 2. So you should have gotten 5. All right, any questions with that? Anybody at home with a question on that one?